All right, we live, man. We live, right?
It's cool. All right, Shalom. We are the Israelites first and foremost. We want to give all honor and glory and praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, to the Akim out there teaching and preaching this truth with 100% sincerity, to the men, women, and children listening and learning, and to the Baasha Devada at the house of David. All right, this is Men of Valor, Las Vegas camp. All right, through the Spirit, we're just going to come to you at camp with the lesson. So we're going to start off on uh, Esau, Edom. All right. So Genesis. Start at 25 and start 25 and 25.
All right. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 25, verse 25. And it reads, "And the first came out red, all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau." Verse 26, "And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob."
All right. So the first came out red like a hairy garment. That's you so-called white people. All right. As we know, nobody is white because the color white would actually go to these scriptures right here. And the color black would be the lettering. All right. So continue. Right there.
Yeah. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them.
Okay, so Jacob they didn't explain Jacob's color. Why? Because the world was melanated. It was all melanated at that time. All right, so who the world calls white is really red. All right, came out as red as a hairy garment. When you have these so-called Caucasian children, all right, where that name Caucasian comes from the Caucasus Mountains, all right, that they dwelled in. When you have those children that are born, they typically come out what? Red. All right, and their pigmentation doesn't come. You can always see their blood through their flesh. All right. Matter of fact, go down. Sorry, go up and to two nations. Lock it. I had to start out and then tell you about the two nations.
This is Genesis 25, verse 21. "And Isaac entreated Yahweh for his wife, because she was barren. And Yahweh was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. And the children struggled together within her. And she said, If it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of Yahweh."
All right. So went to inquire of the Most High. Why is she thus? What is happening in her womb? All right. Go ahead.
"And Yahweh said unto her, Two nations are in thy womb, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels."
So two nations are in her womb, still from the same seed, but Yahweh Bashim Yahushai made sure to put two nations. All right. He put the nation of Esau, Edom, and he put the nation of Jacob and Israel, which his surname is Israel. Okay. So you have these two manner of people in the womb. All right. Go ahead and continue to read down.
"And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger."
All right. So that goes to show right there that once again, with this nation, you have one nation that is stronger than the other. Typically, who is it? Jake is stronger than Esau naturally. All right. So let's go. Let's go ahead and read that portion again. 25 and 25. Salakia.
And this is 25, verse 25. "And the first came out red, all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau."
God. So his name, once again, the elder brother's name is Esau. So Esau means wasted away. All right. Go ahead, continue.
"And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob."
All right. And once again, his name was called Jacob. Jacob, they didn't let him know. They didn't talk about the pigmentation. All right. Because it wasn't an issue. The whole world was melanated Salakia at that time. So there was no need to give give his description. All right. You got something? Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and continue. Let's jump down to the blessed or selling his birthright. Here we go. Should be in the same. Yeah. Con. So 27. Con.
All right, this is Genesis 25 and 27. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field.
So Esau was a cunning hunter, man of the field. Who likes to hunt now? Typically, who hunts for sport? All right, has all kind of trophies and on their mantle with these buck heads and boars and fish and so on and so forth. All right, typically it's Esau. Continue.
And Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents.
So what does Jake like to do? Jake like to be in the house. All right, Jake like to chill. All right, so Jake would be you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Seminole Indians, Haitians, Guatemalans, Puerto Ricans. All right. Continue.
And Isaac loved Esau because they did eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob.
All right. So Isaac, the father, which our forefathers are Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All right. So Isaac loved Esau. All right. So he had a favorite. His favorite was Esau because he was a man of the field. He made him good savory meat. All right. He used to hunt. He was in reference, he was a man's man. All right. He used to go in the field and hunt and bring back food for the family, for his father and make that great venison. All right. And his mother, go ahead, read that one more time, Slucker.
And Isaac loved Esau because he did eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob.
And Rebekah loved Jacob. So Jacob was what you call a mama's boy. All right. He liked to sit at home, chill with mom, dwell in the tent. All right. And chillax, make sure and live comfortably. All right. As comfortable as possible. All right. Continue.
And Jacob sought pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom.
Con. So Esau was a cunning hunter, but this day he wasn't too cunning because he was hungry, right? And Jacob was making some food. All right. And Esau, his elder brother said, Salakia, feed me with that same red pottage. Feed me. And Jacob was like, basically, this isn't done. All right. But lo and behold, what did Esau say? Continue.
And Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright.
He said, sell me this day thy birthright. All right. And what is that birthright? He said, sell it to me. Why? Because Jake is what? Jake, he's plain. He's a hustler. He's hustling. He said, all right, I'll give you this, but you're going to have to give me that birthright. Continue.
And Esau said, behold, I am at the point to die. And what profit shall this birthright do to me?
So, Esau.
That pretty much said it right
there. God. So what did Esau do?
Gave it up.
He gave it up. He said, I'm so hungry, I'm going to give up my birthright as the firstborn. All right, which is a double portion. All right, I'm going to give it up because I'm hungry right now. There's many things that I could do. I could fast. All right.
Go to sleep.
I could go to sleep, but no. And you would have fed me later on, but I'm hungry now. That's what he wanted. He wanted it now. So since he wanted it, he had to pay the price. What was the price? He sold his birthright. Continue.
All right. And Jacob said, swear to me this day. And he swore to him.
He said, swear to me this day. Swear to me to this day. And he swore to him. Continue.
And he sold his birthright unto Jacob.
Sold his birthright. And Jake said, hey, you sold me your birthright. Remember that. Remember that. Gave him the meat and lentils. All right.
Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he did eat and drink, and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright.
Right. He despised his birthright. So he was full. He said, oh, I'm good. I'm good. I didn't eat some raw meat. You know, I'm filled up. Everything's good in the field right now. All right. So he rose up and left. Okay, drop down to the blessing.
Okay.
Blessing of Jacob.
Okay, that would be 27.
27, and you can start at 28.
Okay. Yeah, right there. Yeah. Okay. This is Genesis 27:28. Therefore, the power give thee of the dew of heaven and the fatness of the earth and plenty of corn and wine.
Khan, I'm thinking so many things.
Oh,
Start at
I start up here. Said unto Jacob, come here, I pray thee.
yeah. So start up there.
20.
So you can start at 20, but remember that start at 20. So remember that the birthright he gave to Jacob. He sold it to Jacob for that pottage. All right. So when he sold that birthright, there came a time. There came a time where, hey, you got to pay. God, start 15 or 13. Yeah, 13, and then drop down to read 13 and 14. Drop down to. So 11,
yeah,
11 through 15.
Okay. This is 27, Genesis chapter 27, verse 11. And Jacob said to Rebekah, his mother, behold, Esau, my brother, is a hairy man, and I am a smooth man.
Khan, who's typically hairier out of Edomite, so-called white man, all right, and Jake, so-called black man, all right. Who's typically hairy? That would be Edom. Continue.
My father peradventure will feel me, and I shall seem to him as a deceiver, and I shall bring a curse upon me and not a blessing.
God. So Jacob was worried. Why was Jake worried? Because Jake didn't want to supplant his father. He didn't want to tell his father a so-called lie. All right, but let's go ahead and continue reading and see what happened.
And his mother said unto him, upon me be thy curse, my son. Only obey my voice and go fetch me them.
So the mother said, obey my voice. Let the curse be upon me. But if you remember what exactly happened, Yahweh Shemi Al-Shai said there should be 2 nations in thy womb. 2 nations. And the elder shall serve the younger. All right? Is not Esau the elder brother? Continue.
And he went and fetched and brought them to his mother. And his mother made savory meat, such as his father loved. And Rebekah took goodly raiment of her eldest son Esau, which were with her in the house, and put them upon Jacob, her younger son.
God. So put him about. So she helped supplant him and put the image. All right. Put that hairy garment, that coat over him. All right, to help supplant him from her husband Isaac. All right. Go ahead and drop down.
All right. It says, and she put the skins of the kids of the goats upon his hands and upon the smooth of his neck.
All right. So he could portray that he was a hairy man. Portrayed that he was Esau. All right. Because once again, Esau is typically hairier than Jake. Continue.
And she gave the savory meat and the bread in which she had prepared into the hand of her son Jacob. And he came unto his father and said, my father, will he? And he said, here am I. Who art thou, my son? And Jacob said unto his father, I am Esau, thy firstborn. I have done according as thou badest me. Arise, I pray thee, sit and eat of my venison, that thy soul may bless me.
Khan, because what? Isaac loved Esau. That was his favorite son. It was his firstborn. All right. And what did he love? He loved his venison. He loved the savory meat that he used to make for him. All right. So before Isaac's eyes was dimming, so he said, quick, go to the field before I pass and make me some of that venison. Let me get one last supper from him. All right. Continue.
And Isaac said unto his son, how is it that thou hast found it so quickly, my son? And he said, because Yahweh thy power brought it to me. And
God.
And Isaac said unto Jacob, come near, I pray thee, that I may feel thee, my son, whether thou be my very son Esau or not. And Jacob went near unto Isaac his father, And he felt him and said, Thy voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau.
So Jacob was sweating. He was sweating. He was like, man, I don't want my dad to find out. He was like, I'm nervous. You know, his father said, come close so that I may feel you. So I may feel you to make sure that you are my son, Esau, because he wanted to know why he found it so quick. All right, drop down to the blessing.
Okay. And so he is.
Should be one verse.
25. Okay, it's verse 25. And he said, Bring it near to me, and I will eat of my son's venison, that my soul may bless thee. And he brought it near to him. And he did eat, and brought him wine, and he drank. And his father Isaac said unto him, Come near now, and kiss me, my son. And he came near, and kissed him, and he smelled the smell of his raiment, and blessed him, and said, See, the smell of my son is the smell of the field.
God. So his mother put that, Salakia, his mother put that garment on him, all right? And then he smelled like the field, and Isaac said, For this is my son Esau, roughly paraphrasing. He smells like the field, which Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is blessed. Continue.
Which Yahweh hath blessed. Therefore, the power give thee of the dew of heaven, and the fatness of the earth, and plenty of corn and wine. Let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Cursed be everyone that curseth thee, and blessed be he that blesseth thee.
So he gave him that blessing. He gave him that blessing full-heartedly. All right? Cursed be any other nation that cursed thee. All right? And bless those that bless you. All right? And that's all that matters. He gave him all the blessings, the fatness of the earth. All right? So I can continue. Go ahead and drop down. Go to Esau. All right. Because you finished the...
Okay. And this is verse 32. And Isaac his father said unto him, Who art thou? And he said, I am thy son, thy firstborn Esau. And Isaac trembled.
Salakia. So Esau did return. And when Esau returned, Salakia, he went in and made the venison that his father asked him, because his father had sent him out to the field. All right, he sent him out to the field to get that venison for him. But when he came back, lo and behold, continue. Salakia.
And Isaac trembled very exceedingly and said, Who? Where is he that hath taken venison and brought it to me? And I have eaten of all before thou camest, and have blessed him, ye and he shall be blessed. And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great and exceeding bitter cry, and said unto his father, Bless me, even me also, O my father.
So Esau cried. He cried like a punk. All right? He was whining and crying like a punk. Continue.
And he said, Thy brother came with subtlety and hath taken away thy blessing.
He said, My brother came with subtlety and took away my blessing. But lo and behold, he already sold the blessing to him. He sold his birthright. Continue. He's lying. He's lying already.
And he said, Is it not he uprightly named Jacob? For he hath supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and behold, now he hath taken away my blessing.
He didn't, and when he didn't take away the birthright, did he not sell him his blessing? His birthright, right? For the pottage. Continue.
And he said, Hast thou not reserved a blessing for me? And Isaac answered and said unto Esau, Behold, I have made him thy lord, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants, and with corn and wine have I sustained him, and what shall I do now unto thee, my son? And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, O my father? Bless me, even me also, my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept.
So Esau, Edom, you so-called white people, all right? So-called white people, Esau, Edom, said, Me, my father, have thou one blessing for me, even me. He cried, even though he already sold his birthright. Continue.
And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth.
Because Isaac loved his son, all right? He had another blessing in store. Listen, continue. Salakia. Start from the beginning, Salakia.
And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth.
The fatness of the earth. So that means Esau will have the best of all the land. All right? He will dwell in the best places. He owns every nice place. High rises. All right? All those expensive high rises. All the best land. all the land that has that produces crops. All right, Esau, Edom owns this. Jake doesn't own this. Continue.
And of the dew of heaven from above, and by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck.
So the sword. So Esau, Edom is the sword. He has the sword. He has what? Technology. He has these guns. Who owns more guns than Esau?
No one.
Nobody. No other nation. All right. Esau, Edom owns all those, owns all the artillery, has the best technology. All right. Has all kinds of weapons that we haven't even seen. All right. That we can't even fathom right now. This devil is working on some stuff. they got what is it? The guns that make you throw up. You know, the telepathic guns.
They got all sorts of
sound wave cannons. You know, they got they got stuff to manipulate the elements as far as like the air quality and everything. Chemtrails, climate change. All right, these are all the sword. Salaki, these are all the sword for Esau, Edom.
Just so if you want to know about the whole weather and the climate change, that look up the HARP program.
Khan, the HARP. That's what I was thinking of. That's spirit, the water.
It's spelled HAARP.
All right. HARP. So that's exactly. All right. This is one of his swords. Okay. This is one of the ways that Esau, Edom has the fatness of the earth. The colonizer has the fatness of the earth through the sword. Why? Because it was his blessing. It's lucky. Got some? So go ahead and keep on going.
And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him.
So Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing, right? But he hated him for no good reason. He already sold the blessing to him. So he hates because he's the punk. He's the one that sold the birthright, but he hates Jacob. Continue. You sold it. It was you.
And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, thy days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob.
Did not Esau say? Did not Esau say, what does this birthright do me? What good? All right. What good? But now Esau sees what that birthright was. But ultimately it wasn't for him, because Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, all right, who the world ignorantly calls God in Jesus Christ, ordained it to be before they even came, while they were in the womb. All right. And even before that. All right. So that is a blessing. All right. Read number 40 again.
40. Genesis 27:40. And by the sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck.
Slack it. Fly blue.
That's the devil.
Slack it threw me off. Read 41. Slack it.
And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, thy days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob.
So Esau hated Jacob. All right. He hates you so-called Negroes. Western. Go ahead and read it. I can't read upside down.
He hates you so-called Negroes. West Indians, Haitians, Dominicans, Guatemalans to Panamanians,
Speak up, Doc.
Puerto Ricans, Cubans, North American Indians, Seminole Indians, the Argentinians, the Chileans, Colombians, the Uruguayans, and Mexicans.
All right, so he hates you. Why? Because your biblical nationality belongs over here. Matter of fact, get Exodus. God.
This is Psalms 37, verse 32. The wicked watcheth the righteous and seeketh to slay him.
God. The wicked watches the righteous. Who's getting slayed? George Floyd? Who's getting slayed? Trayvon Martin?
So in the book of Genesis, this is one they kill.
God.
That's his main problem.
God. Who else is getting slayed? All right. Hector's getting slayed. Julio's getting slayed at an alarming rate. Go ahead, Felix.
Okay. This is Exodus chapter 1, verse 2. Oh, no, I'll start at verse 1. Now these are the names of the children of Israel which came into Egypt. Every man in his household came with Jacob.
Can't hold that. So these are the names of the children of Israel. Grab where his name was changed. Genesis 32. Flocky, let me get that verse. So just so you understand that Jacob is Israel. His surname was changed to Israel by the Most High. All right? And the account why it was changed to Israel. It's 32:27.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 32, verse 27. And it reads, and he said unto him, what is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with Yahweh and with men, and hast prevailed.
God. So he said, your name shall no more be called Jacob. It shall be called Israel. All right, because thou hast power. Read it one more time.
Verse 27, and he said unto him, what is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel, for as a prince hast thou power with Yahweh and with men, and has prevailed.
For as a prince has that power, thou power with Yahweh. Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right? Now go ahead and continue to read that.
This is Exodus chapter 1, verse 2. Reuben, Simeon.
Slocky, start out. Start out back.
Slocky, back to verse 1. Now these are the names of the children of Israel which came into Egypt. Every man in his household came with Jacob. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah. Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin. Dan and Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. And all the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob were 70 souls, for Joseph was in Egypt already.
All right. So as you see on the chart, Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Simeon, I believe it's Zebulun, Ephraim, Manasseh, Gad, Reuben, Naphtali, looks like Asher and Issachar. All right. These are the children of the Most High. These are the people, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai's people, who the world ignorantly calls God and Jesus Christ. All right? He has a nation, and his nation is the Israelites. Matter of fact, go to Matthew chapter 1 and verse 21.
It reads, book of Matthew, chapter 1, verse 21, and she shall bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Yahweh Shai, and for he shall save his people from their sins.
Shall save his people from their sins. She didn't say they didn't say to save everybody. One more time. He said his people. Listen closely.
And she shall bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Yahweh Shai, and he shall save his people from their sins.
His people. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Seminole Indians, Haitians, Guatemalans, Puerto Ricans. You are the children of the Most High, who the world ignorantly calls God in Jesus Christ. Oh, you're going to get going over chapter 2. Slide.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 2, start at verse 4. And when he gathered all the chief priests and scribes of people together, he demanded of them where Hamashiach should be born. And they said unto him, in Bethlehem of Judah, for thus it is written by the prophet, and thou Bethlehem in the land of Judah art not the least among the princes of Judah, for out of thee shall come a governor that shall rule my people Israel.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. The Most High sent his only begotten son, to the tribe of Judah. Did we not just find out what are the 12 tribes? The head tribe is Judah. Yahushua came through Judah. Yahushua is for the Israelites. One more time.
Book of Matthew, chapter 2, verse 5. And they said unto him, in Bethlehem of Judah, for thus it is written by the prophet, and thou Bethlehem in the land of Judah are not the least among the princes of Judah, for out of thee shall come a governor that shall rule my people Israel.
Israel. Man, what do they call that? That's what the world calls a buzzword. Buzzword, Israel. Israel. That is Yahweh Bashem Yahushua's people, right? So-called, who the world calls Jesus Christ, came for Israel and is coming for Israel. Got it.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 15, verse 21. Then Yahushua went thence and departed into the coast of Tyre and Sidon. And behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coast and cried unto him, saying, have mercy on me, O Lord, thou son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with the devil. But he answered her not a word. And his disciples came and besought him, saying, send her away, for she crieth after us. But he answered and said, I am not sent, but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Oh, so there we go. That was straight from Yahushua. Yahushua said, I am not sent, but unto the lost sheep of where? Buzzword.
Israel.
Israel. All right? Sent into the lost sheep of Israel. It is all about Israel. It has only forever and always been about Israel. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Seminole Indians, Guatemalans, Haitians, Puerto Ricans, Uruguay, Paraguay, Panamanian, Mexican, all right? It is about you. Right? Sluck it. So, being that it's about you, all right? And ultimately, it's about Yahweh Bashem Yahushua first and foremost, but about his nation, his people. That's who it's about. It's about his people. He came to deliver his people. He's coming to deliver the elect of his people. All right? And then the elect, the 144,000 men, that governing body, all right, as we talked about in Matthew chapter 2, verse 5 through 6, that governing body is that 144,000 elect men. You think they're of other nations? No, they're of Israel. All right? Sluck it. Continue with the read that over again. Or quick.
This is verse 20 verse 24. But he answered and said, I am not sent, but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So you're not sent to any other nation. All right? Matter of fact, you other nations are confederate. Right? Let's go to Psalms. We already got it. Go to Psalms. Go to Psalms 2, and then hold 83. Pull it. Want gloves? Want a glove? Gotcha. You got it. 83. Gonna try.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 2, verse 1. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing?
So why do the heathen rage and imagine a vain thing? All right? Because you heathen, you other nations, all right? Any nation outside of the tribe of Israel, any nation outside of the 12 tribes of Israel is a heathen nation, excluding none but Israel.
This is verse 2. The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us.
Khan, so the kings of the earth, Salaki, the kings of the earth, Salaki, the kings of the earth set themselves in rulership, all right, and cast their bands from us, all right, because they didn't want us to be a part. They didn't want us to be over them, right? These other nations know that we are not the same. They know we belong to the Most High.
Verse 4, he that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh. The Lord shall have them in derision. Then shall he speak unto them in his wrath and vex them in his sore displeasure.
God. So he should speak unto us in his wrath and his displeasure. All right? Drop that. Go ahead and pick up 83. Pull up the charts.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 83, verse 2. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee.
Go ahead and break that down, Oxalakia.
It says that the hidden ones is the 12 tribes of Israel. And when you look at it, what did Esau do? They linked up with the other nations, the other heathen nations, and they prevented us from knowing who we were. They took us into captivity and tried to change our identity. No, they try to flip the world. They pretty much flipped the world upside down. And they made. I'm gonna pull that in a second clip.
Iconoclasm.
Yeah, iconoclasm.
Iconoclasm.
They put themselves. They gave themselves the picture of these powerful people, like they did. We just put the sign away, but how they changed the depiction of Yahweh Shai into Caesar Borgia. That's just one example.
And this is the example, the ultimate example. All right, the ultimate example. Depicting itself as the Most High. This right here, this blonde hair, blue-eyed devil, depicting itself as Yahweh Shai. Now, ultimately, this is just a reference for a depiction. But if you read the scripts, all right, you know that so-called Jesus is not white. Go ahead, continue.
And I'm gonna before you get to that script, I'm gonna read off the table of nations, the Gentiles.
I'll just see right here. So back to Psalms 83, verse 6. These are the list of the Confederate nations, the tabernacles of Edom.
Salakia. So these are the heathen nations. All right, heathen nations, not a holy special people unto Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, a heathenistic nation. Continue.
All right, the tabernacles of Edom,
so-called white man,
and the Israelites of Moab and Hagrans.
Oh, go ahead.
Moab, so-called Chinese. The Hagris, so-called Lebanese. Elam is the
Slock it. Go ahead, start and speak up because we got motorcycles and everything. So start again from the top. Slock it.
all right. Edom is the so-called white man. Elam is the so-called Middle Eastern Indian. Asher is the so-called Assyrian. Aram is so-called Syria. Ishmael is the so-called Arabs. Moab is the so-called Chinese. Ammon, so-called Japanese. Cush, Ethiopian. Mizraim, Egyptian. Phut, North Africa. Canaan, South Africa. Gomer, Turkey. Magog, Russian. Javan, Greek. Tarshish, Spanish. And Kittim is Cyprus.
Right. So these are the heathen nations that Yahweh Bashem Yahushai had set forth. All right. This is not us. This is thus saith the Bible. All right. This is what the Bible is telling you. That all these other nations, except for the nation of Israel, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Seminole Indians, Guatemalans, Puerto Ricans, Haitians, Cubans, Native Americans, Mexicans, you belong to the Most High, who the world ignorantly calls God in Jesus Christ. Right? You got something? No. God. No. Continue on that? Do you have something?
No. Psalms.
Come. Yeah, go back to Psalms and read it over for me.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 2, verse 1. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying,
God, that's what I want. So, took crafty counsel against us, all right? And his anointed. Who is his anointed? Well, let's go ahead and go to Romans chapter 9 and verse 4 and 5. Slack it. This is Romans chapter 9, verse 4 and 5. And it reads, who are Israelites to whom pertaineth the adoption and the glory and the covenants and the giving of the law and the service of power and the promises, whose are the fathers. That's right there. Who's the father of spirits? Whose are the fathers? Let me continue. And to whom, as concerning the flesh. Well, wait a minute. Did it say, it said concerning the flesh, right? So concerning the flesh, that means so-called Jesus, all right? So-called Jesus came in the flesh, which is Yahweh Shai. He came in the flesh. He was not a spirit, because you can't crucify a spirit. Let me start at verse 5 again. This is Romans chapter 9 and verse 5. And it reads, whose are the fathers, and to whom, as concerning the flesh, Hamashiach came, who is over all power, blessed forever. Amen. All right. So, Jesus Christ, who the world calls Jesus Christ, Yahweh Shai, came in the flesh for his nation, his people.
I got that myself. The book of Matthew, chapter 1, verse 18. Now the birth of Yahweh Shai Hamashiach was on this wise. When as his mother Mary was espoused to Joseph, before they came together, she was found with child of the Holy Spirit. Then Joseph, her husband, being a just man and not willing to make her a public example, was minded to put her away privily.
All right. So he put her away privily. All right. Because Yahweh Shai had to be born of the seed of man. Matter of fact, it goes back into the promise. What promise is that? Who was promised that the kingdom would come through his loins? I don't know. Does anybody know? I think it was King David. The Most High made a promise to him. All right, matter of fact.
Kings.
Yeah, Book of Kings. Salakia. You gonna get that? Go. Salakia. Second. No, it's Book of Kings. Salakia. Yeah. Yeah. Slovakia. I know it's. I can't get my fingers up.
You gotta skip that.
Matter of fact, while we're looking that up, full Exodus chapter 19, 19 and 3. Almost there. Yeah, I know. That's why I got to go through one page at a time.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 19, verse 3. And it reads, and Moses went up unto Yahweh, and the Lord called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shalt thou say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel, Ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself.
God, Yahweh said, I brought you unto myself. Right? I bear you on eagle's wings and brought you unto myself. Possessive. All right? He brought us unto himself.
Now therefore, verse 5, now therefore I will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant. Then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people.
Wait a minute. What did you say?
He said, now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people. For all the earth is mine.
Above all people. All right, for the earth is mine. You can get it.
As we were saying about the promise, this is the book of First Kings, chapter 9, verse 5. And it says, Then I will establish the throne of thy kingdom upon Israel forever, as I promised to David thy father, saying, There shall not fail thee a man upon the throne of Israel.
Wait a minute. So you have a promise with King David, right? For the promise of who? Read that one more time.
Then I will establish the throne of thy kingdom upon Israel forever, as I promised to David, thy father.
Did he say for a week? No. Did he say for a month? How about 2 years? How about 5 years? 50, 100? How about 3,000? How about 500,000 years?
Nope.
No. He said what?
Forever.
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 Forever. Forever, ever.
Like the Sandlot.
Like like Sandlot. Forever. All right? The kingdom will come through who? Whose loins?
King David.
King David's loins. All right? And if you read in the genealogy, matter of fact, pull that Matthew's chapter 1. If you read in the genealogy, all right, the genealogy, who the seed came through? Well, what is the seed?
Sperm.
Sperm. Etymology, sperma. You could start at 16. So you get David and then go all the way down through Yahushua. And then drop down for Yahushua.
The book of Matthew, chapter 1, verse 6 says, and Jesse begat David.
Wait a minute. Right off back. So Jesse begot David.
Okay.
Continue.
And Jesse begat David the king, and David the king begat Solomon of her that had been the wife of Uriah.
God had been the wife of Uriah. So King David, all right, now we're going to drop down because the kingdom's going to come through whose loins? King David's loins. So let's figure out after those seeds, all right, through many generations, goes all the way down to who? Go ahead, start a verse up from Yahushua.
This is verse chapter 1, verse 15. And Eliud begat Eliezer, and Eliezer begat Mathan, and Mathan begat Jacob.
Wait a minute. So, begotten Jacob. So Jacob, right? Who's Jacob? I don't know. Maybe our forefather? Continue.
Jacob begat Joseph, the husband of Mary.
Wait a minute. Joseph begot Joseph. Now, who was Joseph? Is this a mystery?
Verse 16, Jacob begat Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom born Yahushua.
What? Go ahead and read it verbatim, because they might not get it.
And Jacob begat Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom was born Jesus.
Oh, there. Hey, that's a different type of buzzword. It's a negative one, but it's a buzzword nevertheless. Who begot Jesus, which name is Yahushua. All right? If you want to know the deeper account of the lineage, go to book of Matthew, chapter 1, verses 1 through 17. It'll give you the lineage of where the seed came from, which goes back to the promise of King David. Go ahead and get that one more time for me. And then you can go on.
Verse 16. And Jacob begat Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom was born Yahushua, who is called a Mashiach.
Wow. It is right there in the scriptures if you care to look. Precept upon precept, line upon line. Here a little, there a little. All right, roughly paraphrasing the scripture. Go ahead and bring King David up. Slakia, one more time.
This is the book of 1 Kings, chapter 9, verse 5. Then I will establish the throne of thy kingdom upon Israel forever.
Throne of thy kingdom, no other kingdom. All these other kingdoms that are set up around is bullshit. We're talking about the kingdom, the one and only kingdom. Continue.
As I promised to David thy father, saying, there shall not fail thee a man upon the throne of Israel.
As I promised to David. As I promised to David, shall not fall
thee a man upon the throne of Israel.
Upon the throne of Israel. All right? You so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, Haitians, Puerto Ricans, Mexicans, Guatemalans. All right? You are the children of the Most High. You belong to who the world calls God and Jesus Christ, which the name is Yahweh and Yahushua. All right? Matter of fact, look at that. I was going to go into nations. We go into these nations because everybody has to answer. All right? And you have to answer for, let's get something. You have to answer for the children of Israel, putting them and trying to make that name of Israel cease to exist. And for the hard bondage in Egypt, the hard bondage over here, which is spiritually Egypt, Sodom, and Gomorrah. All right? You other nations have to pay for that. But you also have to pay for Egypt. Matter of fact, this is the book of Exodus, chapter 1 and verse Let's go, chapter 1, let's start at verse 12. And it reads, but the more they afflict them, the more they multiplied and grew. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. All right? Rigor, hard. All right? Very unfavorable conditions. All right? And continue on verse 14. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage in mortar and in brick and in the manner of service in the field. All the service wherein they made them serve was with rigor. All right? Was hard. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, West Seminole Indians, Native Americans, all right? You serve with rigor.
There it goes.
Come.
This is the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 13, and verse 6. Rejoiceth not in iniquity, but rejoiceth in the truth. Beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things. Charity never faileth, but whether there be prophecies, they shall fail. Whether there be tongues, they shall cease. Whether there be knowledge, it shall vanish away.
God.
And what that's talking about is that when that famine of the word cometh, that knowledge is vanished away. You won't be able to find it. And those other tongues, and those other languages, people are going to be crying out for an answer, and they shall cease. Which means that when this devil comes down upon us with great wrath, he's going to silence a lot of people, kill them.
God. More there yet.
Yeah, I know.
So hold on, man. Once again, let's go to Exodus. I'm gonna read chapter 4 and verse 22. And thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, thus shall Yahweh, Israel is my son, even my firstborn. All right. So it's all about the nation of Israel. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Seminole Indians, Mexicans, Haitians, Guatemalans, Puerto Ricans. All right. You belong to who the world calls God in Jesus Christ, and you alone. All right. Got punishments.
All right, so, I'm going to read this book of Sirach, chapter 16, verse 11. And if there be one stiff-necked among the people, it is marvel if he escape unpunished. For mercy and wrath are with him. He is mighty to forgive and to pour out displeasure. As his mercy is great, so is his correction. Also, he judgeth a man according to his works.
Okay. So not only did we get judged as a nation, being the nation of the Most High, all right, that's why we're in the conditions that we are in. We got judged for going off from our laws, statutes, and commandments, which is called the 10 Commandments that the world knows them as, when there's 613. But let's stick to the 10 Commandments, okay? The 10 Commandments, which we didn't follow. So being that we didn't follow, we are being punished. And how are we being punished? Through you other heathen nations, especially Esau, Edom. Especially Esau, Edom. Why? Because who's our big brother? That would be Esau. What is his blessing? That would be the sword. So-called guns, the actual sword, hard bondage, bombs, technology, all things go to the one of all things. We have to go to our enemy for the one of all things. All right? So the sword of the Most High. Matter of fact, let me pull that right quick before you continue. Slug. Huh?
I had one. I was going to say Psalm 16 and 4.
Go ahead. Peter.
This is Psalm 16:4. Their sorrow shall be multiplied that hasten after the power, hasten after another power. Their drink offerings of blood will I not offer, nor take up their names into my lips.
All right. So he will not hear us because we disobeyed the law, statutes, and commandments. Let me get the sword. All right. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 17 and verse 13, and it reads, "Arise, O Yahweh, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword." Who's the wicked? Matter of fact, Obadiah, get Obadiah. It was Obadiah 1, 13. Come.
This is Obadiah 1:13. Thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity. Thou shouldest not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity.
Fuck it. I was looking for the wicked.
Oh,
Got the wrong one. Fuck it. You can go to. It still talks about it in Obadiah too.
part of that part of the scene.
Okay, this is I get it. This.
The men of thy confederacy.
God, you can read that one.
Okay, this is Obadiah 1:7. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee, and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him.
God.
There's no understanding this so-called white man. You can't reason with him. Like how it said, like that movie, The Terminator, the very first Terminator, when Kyle Reese, when he told Sarah Connor about the Terminator, he said, you can't be bargained with, can't be reasoned with. You can't bargain or reason with Esau.
God. Slakia. I'm gonna get the book of Psalms. This is book of Psalms, chapter 10 and verse 12. Arise, O Yahweh, O power, lift up thy hand, forget not the humble. Therefore doeth the wicked contend the power. He hath said in his heart, thou wilt not require it. Thou hast seen it, for thou beholdest mischief and spite to require it with thy hand. The poor committed himself unto thee. Thou art the helper of the fatherless. Helper of the fatherless. Well, that goes. Who's the helper of the so-called the fatherless? All right. Well, look at the welfare system. Look at all these unrighteous decrees that are set up to help these so-called so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans. All right, these unrighteous decrees, all these acts. All right, he's the helper. He wants to help everybody, which is ultimately the wicked. And verse 15, break thou the arms of the wicked and the evil man. Seek out his wicked till thou find none. All right. So the wicked is who? Esau, Edom. Matter of fact, we'll get that. We have one.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 2, verse 14. Who rejoice to do evil and delight in their forwardness of the wicked, whose ways are crooked, and they frowed in their paths.
And I know it here. Uh, uh, God. Lamentation. Book of Lamentation. Lamentation.
Oh, you want me to grab it?
Yeah, God.
Lamentation is.
Slovakia. No, no. We're getting the wicked right now. Look it up.
What are you looking for?
Be not thy oppressor. I got that right now, but it's the wicked, bloody man. Thought it was an Obadiah. Slovakia. That's what he mean right now. So, you're just giving it to me. Slovakia.
This is the book of Job, chapter 9, verse 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the face of the judge thereof. If not, where and who is he?
So who's the wicked? Who controls the earth right now? Slovakia. But who controls the earth right now? All right? It is given into the hands of the wicked. And this is the book. And he will punish the hands of the wicked. All right? Which that wicked is Esau, Edom. For Jacob have I loved, and Esau have I hated. All right? So Yahweh Bashim Yahushai hates wickedness. Does he not? Matter of fact, you can find that in Psalms. You got it?
Book of Psalms, chapter 10, verse 2. The wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined.
All right. It's, Fuck it. Here it is. So this is.
Is it going? It's like, and going to the scripture I just pulled out. Who's the poor? So-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. He persecutes us every day. Every day.
So this is the book. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 10. Start at verse 7, and it reads, his mouth is full of cursing, and deceit, and fury. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity. Well, mischief and vanity, all right, who's very vain, all right, he sitteth in the lurking place of the villages, in the secret places doeth he murder the innocent. All right. So what did these colonizers do? All right. Did they not murder the innocent? Did they not come over here to the Americas and do away with you so-called Indians? All right. Did they not slaughter you? What is it called? Trelatiers?
Indian Removal Act.
Indian Removal Act of 1830. Tuskegee experiment. All right. These Maximes. All right. What is that? What is that program? Biden had. You know, the stop and frisk. pretty much. But the stop and frisk,
Yeah.
you know, these unrighteous decrees. Continuing on. He live, Slakin. His eyes are privately set against the poor. All right? Who's the so-called poor? You so-called Negro, Latinos, Native Americans, West Seminole Indians, Haitians, Puerto Ricans. All right? Your conditions are very low. All right? He lieth in wait secretly as a lion in his den. He lieth in wait to catch the poor. He doeth catch the poor when he draweth him into his net. All right, so he puts him in a net. He sets these traps. He sets these traps with all these unrighteous decrees. All right, he sets these traps with these welfare programs. All right, you can't have a man in the house. All right, there can be no male in the house if you want to receive this aid. Okay.
That goes in the Stockholm syndrome by dividing the families.
God, he divides and conquers.
And
Let me finish this up. He croucheth and humble himself that the poor may fall by his strong one. All right. So when you go to this devil for help, all right, he's always got another freaking stipulation. Always giving you another stipulation. You got to do something else and something else. All right. It's never what he said it was from the beginning. He hath said in his heart, God hath forgotten, he hid his face, he will never see it. All right, but Yahweh Bashim Shai sees everything and sees what you do to his people. All right, go ahead.
This is the book of 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour.
God. So these other heathen nations, especially Esau, Edom, walk around seeing who he may devour. All right? Hey, it's ridiculous.
The book of Malachi, chapter 1, verse 2, it reads, I have loved you, saith the Lord, yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith the Lord? Yet I loved Jacob, and I hated Esau.
God. So Yahweh Shimei Shai hated Esau. Hate you devils.
This is the book of Obadiah, chapter 1, verse 15. For the day of Yahweh is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee.
Upon all the heathen. All right? The day is near. It's not here yet, and we ain't gonna do nothing. But it's on its way. You got something else?
Thy reward shall return upon thine own head.
All right, so that reward. What's that reward? Well, captivity, bondage,
Murder.
You murdered, did all this stuff. All right. So these are the rewards that you gave unto the children of Israel. But these shall come back to you in righteousness. All right. Because we won't be buck breaking. All right. We won't be ravishing another man's wife. All right. We won't have you sleep with your mother. All right. That's where that term MF comes from. That's why that MF term even exists, because these devils made you sleep with your own mother in slavery. Go over to one of the islands and call somebody an MF. Got something? Okay, I got one. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 13 and verse 11, and it reads, and I will punish the world for their evil and the wicked for their iniquity, and I will cause the anger, sluggish, And I will cause the arrogance of the proud to cease, and will lay low the habitations of their uh, of their terrible. I will make a man slacking. That was it. All right. So Yahweh Bashim Yahushai said he will cause your arrogance to cease. You being prideful and proud. He about to, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai about to cut that all out. For you devils and all you other heathen nations. All right?
This is the book of Psalms.
But you know, this Salakia, 2/3 of our own people too. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Seminole Indians, all you heathen ass 2/3, all right? Following after these other gods, all right? Obeying and wanting to be like these other nations, all right? Joining unto them. Matter of fact,
This is the book of Zechariah, chapter 8, verse 7. Awake, O sword, against my shepherd, and against the man that is my fellow, saith the Lord of hosts. Smite the shepherd, and the sheep shall be scattered, and I will turn mine hand upon the little ones. And it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith the Lord, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein.
God. So what did they do? They smited first and foremost Yahweh Shai, the ultimate shepherd. And then the prophets to follow. All right? Smited them, killed them off, so the sheep would be scattered. All right? Read that last verse again.
Zechariah chapter 8, verse 8. And it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith the Lord, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein.
So you 2/3 will be cut off and die. You will die by famine, by thermonuclear power, sword, which is the missiles, thermonuclear fire. All right? By wild beasts, shit, choking on a chicken bone, getting hit by a car, bee sting. A lot of you jakes got nut allergies. All right? Matter of fact, this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 13, verse 15, and it reads, everyone that is found shall be, everyone that is found shall be thrust through, and everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. Shall fall by the sword. You joining unto these other nations, wanting to be like them. All right? Loving your oppressor. This Stockholm syndrome that you got. I'm going to read verse 16. And it reads, their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their houses, their houses shall be spoiled, and their wives shall be ravished. That goes for you other nations, and you 2/3 jakes. This shall happen to your kids, all right, for not obeying the law, statutes, and commandments, and even attempting to the best of your ability to follow the law, statutes, and commandments. Not caring. So your children, all right, are going to die by the sword, which you go in the book of Deuteronomy and you see the curses that are upon us for not obeying the law, statutes, and commandments. All right? Another man's going to take your wife. That's a curse. That is a curse. It says your wife shall be ravished. When these troops come in like a flood, what the hell you think they're going to do to your wife? Right?
Wife, your daughter.
Your wife, your daughter, your son, even you, even you, Jake. All right, because you got those they got homo thugs, they got homo soldiers too. Got some? Uh, God. Look it up. This is the book. This is the book of Job, chapter 5, 5 and 1. Uh, 5 and 1, and it reads, "Call now if there be any that will answer thee, that which of the saints will thou turn? For wrath killeth the foolish man, and envy slayeth the silly ones. I have seen the foolish taking root, but suddenly I cursed him, Slack, cursed his habitation. His children are far from safety, and they are cursed in the gate. Neither is there any to deliver them." All right? And that's that 2/3. You the foolish. You foolish.
This is Jeremiah 31 and 22. How long wilt thou go about, O thou backsliding daughter? For the Lord hath created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall compass a man.
That's the curse. All these women with great jobs, your woman telling you what to do. All right? She's wearing the pants in the household. Feminism. All right? Hey, it's a curse. It's a curse. And you jakes are dumbing up. Oh, I want my woman should be able to do what she want to do. Okay, fool. She should be able to have her own thing. She needs to make her own money, which is she want to make her own money. Cool. Okay, in this day and age, you need 2 incomes, especially you, Jake. But being that she's making 2 incomes and she make more than you, should you accept how she talks to you? Should you accept how she treats you? Should you accept, Jake, her going out and saying you gonna stay home? All right, and then she get to gather abroad. You know. But hey, ultimately, Yahweh Shem Yahushai still loves and chooses Israel. All right? He still loves and chooses Israel. Matter of fact, I'll drop down. It's right there. And it reads, this is the book of Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 1. "For Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land." All right? So Yahweh Shem Yahushua will have mercy on Jacob. But of course, after you learn death by pain, you 2/3. All right? The destruction of Babylon, which is ultimately America, spiritually Sodom and Gomorrah, Egypt. All right? Let's go into destruction right quick. Get this destruction right quick. Then we'll go ahead and close out. You can hear that lamentation. I got a book of Isaiah, chapter 14 and verse 4. And it reads, "That thou shalt take up a proverb against the kings of Babylon, and say, how hath the oppressors seized the golden city, seized? Yahweh hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continuous stroke, and that ruled the nations in anger, Slakia, is persecuted, and none hindereth. The whole earth is at rest, and it is quiet. They break forth into singing. Right? But why are you going to break forth into singing? But break forth into singing after what? After this happens. Go ahead, pull it up.
This is the book of Lamentations.
Speak up.
This is the book of Lamentations, chapter 1, verse 18. The Lord is righteous, for I have rebelled against his commandment. Hear, I pray you, all people, and behold my sorrow. My virgins and my young men are gone in captivity. I called for my lovers, but they deceived me. My priests and my elders gave up the spirit in the city, while they sought their meat to relieve their souls. Behold, O Lord, for I am in distress. My bowels are troubled. My heart is turned within me.
God, we're troubled. All right? You so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Seminole Indians, we're troubled. All right? We need our power. We need Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. We need Yahweh to send Yahweh Shai back to deliver us from this hell. Continue.
For I have grievously rebelled. Abroad the sword bereaveth. At home there is as death.
Got that? You got it. Sure. Okay, drop down. Drop that.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 9, verse 6. O thou enemy, destructions are come to a perpetual end, and thou hast destroyed cities, their memorial is perished with them. But the Lord shall endure forever. He hath prepared his throne for judgment. And he shall judge the world in righteousness. He shall minister judgment to the people in uprightness.
All right. Let's back get Isaiah. Read chapter 14, read verses 9. Verse 9 and read through 14.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 14, verse 9. Hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming.
So meet thee at that coming. Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai is sending Yahweh Shai back. That coming. All right.
It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations.
So all these kings of the nations are being stirred up. All right? For this great third world war. All right? As you see it brewing now.
All they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us?
So wait a minute. Come weak as thee. When these other nations seen the what is it? Yeah, no, seeing what happened in the Capitol, all right? They said, yeah. They said, man, America is a joke. That's what all these other nations said. Read that verse again.
Okay. Hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. All they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become as weak as we?
This is exactly what those other nations are saying. You got all these other nations, all right? These other 9 nations, all right? That are doing what? They have nuclear arms. Okay, continue.
Art thou become weak like unto us? Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and thy noise of thy viols The worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee.
Con. Continue.
How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations?
How? Read that again, son of the morning.
How art thou fallen? Slack it.
Next time we got to do it under the lights.
How? Okay. Chapter Isaiah 14:12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the?
Slakia. Lucifer, son of the morning, the light bearer. All right, is not the Illuminati. The Illuminati, the illuminate ones. All right, the light bearers. All right, that's what they call themselves. All right, they said that they are enlightened. All right. Go ahead.
How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of the power. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet, yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit.
Hey, he said he should ascend above the heavens as the Most High. All right. But Yahweh Bashim Yahushai said he should be brought down to the pit. Salakia. I think it is Jeremiah. Salakia. It's Jeremiah. Sorry. Here's right here. Start right here. Start it. No. Yeah. Starting to get hard. Salakia. Chapter 4. I think it's chapter, might be chapter. You see that? Salakia. In the dark over here. So we got to do this in the light. I think it is. Go ahead and pull it up. Go ahead and get it. Salakia.
Okay, this is Proverbs.
We're in structure, right?
Yeah, it's a crap.
Slakia. Gosh. Dark. Let's see a thing.
Thirty-five and one. Yeah. All right. This book of Ezekiel, chapter 35, verse 1. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir, and prophesy against it, and say unto it, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in this time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end, therefore, as I live, saith the Lord Yahweh, I'll prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Since thou hast not hatred, blood, even blood shall pursue thee.
God. Hey, yeah, how about Shimei Awashai is preparing, all right? Salakia is dark over here. We're gonna have to get in the light next time, you know?
All right.
But yeah, how about Shimei Awashai is preparing, all right, to come upon all you heathen nations. All right, continue.
This is the book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 2. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage, Israel, whom they have scattered.
So yeah, Salakia. So yeah, how about Shimei Awashai is gonna bring all these nations together, all right, in the Third World War, all right? All these heathen nations, 2/3 of our own people are going to get slaughtered within this time and also be left for what? Thermonuclear fire. You see that scene on Independence Day where Sarah Connor's holding the fence? Her eyes are melting away in her eyelids. Judgment Day? Yeah, Judgment Day.
Yeah.
Sarah Connor,
Yeah.
you know?
Away.
Same thing, Independence Day. All right? That's just the Most High going to come with those laser beams. War of the Worlds. All right?
So, whom has scattered among the nations and parted my land, and they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink.
God, you have sold. How about Shimei Awashai's people? So who's been sold? All right? You so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Seminole Indians, your children have been sold. You have been sold. You selling yourself these days. Esau he ain't even got to do it. That's why they call you sellouts. And there's been sellouts before, but you sell out by the dozens now. By the dozens.
Ye and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coast of Palestine? Will ye render me a recompense?
So will you render Yahweh Shimei a recompense? Will you repay him what am I trying to say? Righteous reward?
And if ye recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your own head.
Self-explanatory right there. But hey, y'all brothers got anything else? Hey, thermonuclear fire is coming to America. Coming to a nation near you. All right? Not just America, but America will go down by thermonuclear fire. Thus saith the Bible. All right? Abaratazah, Lord willing, this lesson was and camp was edifying. We want to give all honor and glory and praise unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, to all the Akim teaching and preaching with 144% sincerity, to the men, women, and children listening and learning. All right? To the Bayash Debadot, the house of David. Salakia got a little dark on us. Next time we'll make sure we're under the light so we can see a little bit better and a little bit longer. But to the next time, once again, to the hopeful elect, Shalom. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone and to all the Akim teaching and preaching the truth with all sincerity. Shalom.
Shalom.